So this is the fourth and sadly last Doctor Who play that you'll be staging. What made you pick this story?
Well, I picked Masterplan because it was the last day of Evil last year, and we were all chuntering backstage before the matinee, and because it'd gone so well, I said, we've got to see if we can do a sequel. And everyone was saying Power of the Daleks, and that was the natural choice. And I'd originally thought of doing Power of the Daleks. I'd actually started doing stuff on the script, but it just came off the top of my head, I'd like to do the Dalek Masterplan. David Howe was there, and he said, you're mad. I said, yeah, we must do it then. So no, I suppose it was... and in thinking about it, I think it's... Power of the Daleks, of course, would have been another David Whittaker script. And although it's very different to Evil in many ways, its themes are similar, and it was a similar story in tone, all about, Daleks up to real dark stuff and clever stuff. And although I love that, I thought Masterplan would be a much better contrast and more of a run-around alien invasion type story, which would be a nice contrast. So that was the reason, basically, why I chose it.
So by picking Masterplan, what problems were you faced with? Because obviously on TV it was about 5 hours long, and you've had to boil it down to 90 minutes for the theatre.
Yes. Well, first thing I did was I got a copy of the original script, which is quite a lengthy document, obviously. What I did is the same as I did with Evil last year, same as when I adapt anything, is I do a straight transposition from the TV script to a workable stage script without cutting anything or removing anything, but just turning it into a stage script, so it's in two halves of a fairly manageable length, theoretically. So I had that as a basis. And then I chucked out the original script and worked from that, but it was all straight from the original. But again, each act would have been 2 hours. So then it was, again, same as last year, finding what would make it work as a stage show, and also what would make it feel like the original. Because there's no point in adapting something if you're going to do it completely verbatim from the original. Because if you're going to do that, you might as well read the book or listen to the soundtrack or what have you of anything original. Because as soon as you do adapt it, you put your own interpretation on it. And so I wanted to give it a feel of various things. The original new Doctor Who, and something unique in itself. So the approach I went was that if they were to remake Dalek Masterplan for telly now, how would they do it? So that was my guiding thought. So it's getting it not just the right length, but getting the right tone. And it's more important when you adapt something to get the feel of it right. And adapting this, me as a Doctor Who fan, I thought, how would I like to see Dalek Masterplan redone? That's how I thought of it. And I suppose, because it's not a story that exists, I'm not hugely familiar with it as a piece of television. I mean, I've seen the stories that exist, the episodes that exist, rather. So I've seen those. But it was, in my mind, its reputation is that it was this epic struggle. The Doctor steals the core to get away from the Daleks, and they hunt him down to get it, and there's like a big galactic war brewing. So I had that as the background feel, and that's what I wanted to concentrate on. Obviously, within that, a lot of the stuff from the original story had to go, purely for editing reasons. And if you look at the actual script itself, it's basically the actual story of the original is basically the first 4 episodes and the last 2. And in all of that in between is running around, which, with the best will in the world, it just wouldn't work on stage. Not that it would be difficult for us to do it as a small-scale amateur group, but in any way, shape or form, you'd lose coherency if 1 minute you were in Egypt and then you were somewhere else and then the monk popped up and all this sort of stuff. It just wouldn't work, it'd be messy. So we had to focus on the core of the story, pardon the pun, and make that work in a sort of 90-minute framework. So a lot went into the melting pot, but it was just getting the feel of it right, really.
So what would you say has been, apart from obviously adapting the story down to the 90 minutes, has been the biggest challenge of this production?
The biggest challenge of any production is getting it on. Really, yes, it's more challenging doing Doctor Who because it's more technical than your standard stuff, particularly with this show, because last year we didn't have filmed inserts and very many special effects. We have this time, and we've got a big moving set and everything this time. So that's challenging. But once we worked out how we were going to do it, we've got a good enough team, and Rob is excellent at organising things and realising ways of doing that. So I work closely with him in the build-up to it. But I suppose the biggest actual challenge in regard to the whole thing is just getting it to work as a show. I can't really put my finger on a specific thing that's the most challenging. It's just getting it work, getting everyone together, everyone getting the feel of it right. So the same challenge really that applies to doing any show. It's just getting it to work. But thankfully I've assembled enough people who I know and I trust, actors and technicians and people like that. Everyone I trust and I know can deliver the goods is who I got, and thankfully I've got them, and the challenge shouldn't be that much of a challenge.